I'm reading The High Impact Middle Manager, The Powerful Strategies to Thrive in the Middle. Now I am in this video just going to cover part 1, and what I like so far is the nice straightforward way it's put together. I'm not a big fan of High Impact Middle Manager as a title, however I like the idea of it. I like really what it means. Now in chapter 1, what it gets to here is around the characteristics of what a high impact middle manager is and the system that that manager would use. And they do provide some 8 guiding principles. And I think what I like most about these guiding principles is that it just really starts to get you thinking around what are the aspects of a highly productive and effective and successful manager can be. Things like in the principles, great managers do what others won't do. They have beliefs that determine behavior, and I'll talk about that principle with the flip chart shortly. About understanding relationships and building relationships. Managerial strengths and weaknesses are known, and that's important, and oftentimes we hide our weaknesses because we don't want to be seen to be unable to do things. The great middle manager can be learned, but one must get it. Now, I love that principle. Yes, we can learn management skills. Yes, we can learn about leadership, but it's not unless you actually get it. The light bulb moment, the actual embedding of those skills and being a great manager. Do you get it? And I think that's a really good principle. I like that one a lot. And middle managers exist to make things happen. And I think that goes hand in hand with great managers are prepared to do what others won't do. So that's good. I also like in this first chapter that there's a table that compares what an average manager would do compared to what a great manager would do. And one of the biggest examples in that table was looking at that the level of influence. Now, a great manager would influence through enrollment and building ownership, while a not so great manager would use coercion. And I think that's a really interesting comparison. And chapter 2 moves on to the thought processes of a middle manager or a high impact middle manager. And this is where I think this comes into play. And this is actually in the book where it talks about what your beliefs are and how they impact on your actions, and therefore what results you get. Now, if you have negative beliefs like I'm stressed, too much work already done, this is not how we do things around here, that then impacts on the actions. So things get sabotaged, projects don't get started, there's stalling tactics, which means not good results. On the flip side, if we turn that around, when we have positive beliefs and we look at opportunities, we have an open mind around the way in which we will problem solve and strategize. This brings in actions of trying things out, having a go at something, looking at proper resourcing and planning, building relationships. Then we have better results. And I think that's a really neat model that's been brought in very early in this book, which I think is helpful for managers. And then the third chapter that's in part 1 looks at powerful partnerships, and I think that's important. I think quite often managers get stuck in their silo thinking, and I know one of the classic examples is when you have a department that almost clashes with the human resources department, and it's like human resources sit out on their own, and that's one department which I think every other manager in an organization really needs to build an alliance and a good relationship with. And I like how this chapter particularly looks at the values of what underpins a good relationship. So shared purpose, ownership, trust, looking at critical thinking, shared success and failure, but not around blame. And I think that's important. And looking at the way in which communication plays a major part in all of that. And if there are already existing conflicts, then making sure that those are resolved so that the relationship can move on and be improved. And I think that's a really interesting way to start this book. So it's who you are as a middle manager, particularly a high impact middle manager. Your belief and your thinking that comes with it, and then building relationships. I do believe this is a pretty good foundational part 1 as we move forward in the book. I'm looking forward to reading the rest and sharing it with you.